3 minutes ago, devastating news details about George Lynch have shaken the rock world and left fans devastated. Because while the legendary guitarist from Dokken and Lynch Mob has always been celebrated as one of the greatest players of his generation, behind his blistering solos and fiery stage presence has been a life of sacrifice, struggle, and now heartbreaking realities that few ever expected. For decades, George Lynch's name has been synonymous with technical brilliance and innovation, a player who inspired countless guitarists with his speed, tone, and creativity. He helped define the sound of 1980s heavy metal with Dokken, where his dueling relationship with frontman Don Dokken created both incredible music and explosive tension. Songs like Mr. Scary, Into the Fire, and Kiss of Death cemented his reputation as a shredder of the highest order. But while fans celebrated the music, George was living a far more complicated reality. The devastating news now being reported pulls back the curtain on years of pain, both physical and emotional, that George has carried with him. Decades of playing guitar, touring the world, and living life at full throttle have taken a serious toll on his health, with George himself admitting in interviews that his hands and body no longer respond the way they once did, leaving him struggling with arthritis, nerve issues, and chronic pain that make even simple playing a challenge. For a man whose entire identity is tied to his guitar, this is nothing less than heartbreaking, a cruel twist of fate that feels like the universe punishing him for dedicating his life to his craft. Beyond the health battles, Lynch has also endured the hardships of financial pressure, band breakups, and the heartbreak of watching his style of music fall out of mainstream favor as the years went on. Once selling out arenas, George, like many of his peers, had to adapt to smaller stages, changing audiences, and an industry that often discards legends once they are past their commercial peak. Yet through it all, he has kept playing, driven not by money or fame, but by a deep and unshakable love of music. That makes today's devastating news even more painful, because fans know how much of himself he has given to this life, and how much it has cost him personally. George has admitted that the endless years of touring strained relationships, left him feeling isolated, and often pushed him into dark places emotionally. The clashes with Don Dokken became legendary, a symbol of how great art can be born out of conflict, but also a reminder of how damaging those battles were to everyone involved. Still, George remained loyal to his guitar, pouring every ounce of frustration, pain, and passion into his playing, creating a sound that was both aggressive and soulful, technical yet deeply emotional. The shocking truth now is that George Lynch, the man once seen as untouchable, is as vulnerable as any of us. And the struggles he faces today show the heavy price of decades spent chasing perfection on 6 strings. Fans who once saw him as a god on stage now see the human being behind the legend, and that revelation is what makes the news so devastating. George Lynch's legacy is secure. His riffs, his solos, and his influence will live forever. But the man himself now faces challenges that no amount of talent can erase. And perhaps that is the saddest part, that someone who gave the world so much beauty through music must now confront a reality that feels unbearably cruel. The devastating news about George Lynch is not just about a musician's decline. It is about the fragility of life, the toll of passion, and the tragic reminder that even our heroes cannot escape time.